This is my review on Hellboy 2: The Golden Army from 2008, released back in 2008. I give this movie a 8 out of 10. I really like this movie, but I do have problems with it. I just feel like, one of the problems I have, what I didn't like about the movie now, and also want to tell you the plot to the movie, of the setup to the movie, and then the payoff. Short version, but not the whole thing. So the plot to the movie is Hellboy has to Hellboy and his girlfriend Liv have been having difficult for some reason, and then his best friend, who's a fish who has this long, we find out what his name is, very long and ridiculous name he has. Terrible. Hard to pronounce a little bit. It's a tongue twister, so I'm not going to try. I mean, it's a long word, but so I'm not going to try, okay? I don't think he fully says his full name either. So anyway, he follows this fish in Hellboy 2. Hellboy's friend falls for this princess, and this princess has this twin who's a prince, and they can feel, because they're twins, they're in this blood related, they can feel pain a bit, apparently, somehow. And so if she dies, he can die. Basically, if he won't feel pain, physical pain, or the other one will feel it. So, and the bad guy of the film is this prince. That's, like hunting the princess, try and kidnap her, I guess. I don't know what does he want with his sister. Anyway, I figure, does he need a sister for something to do something evil? I don't know. I don't remember. So Hellboy goes toe-to-toe with this guy, but lets him live after losing around. Hellboy lets him live, but before the bad guy can get up and try to kill Hellboy when Hellboy has his back turned, he instantly dies because his sister takes her life. His twin sister, and everybody gets the happy ending except for the one who fell for the princess, who took her life, and that's Hellboy's friend. Pretty much, so. And we found the reason why her and Hellboy have been arguing, because I guess Liv's been pregnant. And has twins on the way, so we find out at the end. Once Hellboy finds out he's not just going to be a dad, but a dad of 2 babies. And he is scared. He looks like he's screwed. He has that face look like he's horrified for himself. And ends on that note, on Hellboy leaving the bureau and becoming a dad and saving the day, and I don't know, this really seems like a good place to end the franchise here. Personally, I hated the first Hellboy movie, but I actually really ended up enjoying this one a lot. The more I'm thinking about it. It's not a perfect movie. It has its problems. Like, I feel like there's way too much comedy in this movie for my taste. For Hellboy's character. And Rob Perlman's Hellboy character comes... I feel like this movie... It bothered me how this movie likes to make Hellboy like the butt of a joke a lot once this other character comes into place. And this other character is in this diver uniform. Talks with his funny accent. And he's likable and funny, but he's also kind of annoying because of his voice. Of the way he talks. Like, I found him first annoying. But by the end of the movie, I end up liking him. I think what bothers me about this movie, this doesn't feel like a sequel. It feels more like Hollow Man 2, where it feels like a reboot of the franchise. You know, a more for course correction reboot of the franchise. Like, you know, instead of having that rookie be the main protagonist, like in Hellboy 1, that human character that, you know, nobody remembers from that movie. You know how Hellboy wasn't the main protagonist, but this white kid was. That was a rookie for the Bureau. Remember, he was the main protagonist of the first one I mentioned, if you guys saw my last review on the first one. That was my biggest problem with the first one, and why I hated it so much. Of one of the reasons. And plus, it had Rob Perlman completely wasted as Hellboy. When he does such a good job with what the shitty script he gives in with. And the bare minimum screen time he has when he's allowed to do something cool. And something badass and heroic. You know how we didn't, we didn't see that a lot in the movie of the first Hellboy movie because he wasn't the main focus. Well, in this time, Hellboy's the main focus, but we still don't see a lot of that because this time we need to make room for pointless gags. Or pointless shit. For a payoff of the third installment that might never come. See, my problem was, one of my problems I have with Hellboy 2 is that this feels more like a setup than a movie itself to something bigger, a third installment. And Hellboy 1 even though I hate it, it felt like a self-contained story. And it felt like it didn't want to build up for anything beyond that. This movie does not go in that direction. Hellboy 2, it goes in a different MCU type of direction. Why? Well, probably because this was the same year Iron Man and Hulk came out from Mark Ruffalo's run. That failed. This also came out in 2008. The year of crap. That's not fair to Hellboy 2, because Hellboy 2 is not crap. Although the first movie was Hulk, was ever known as Hulk, and the Iron Man movie, I thought that was crap. And, Hellboy 2, I feel like there's too much comedy in Hellboy 2. And it gets old sometimes because the comedy doesn't always land home run. Because there's only so much you can do with slapstick comedy in live action before you have to run on one-liner jokes. That's what also this film has, once it runs out. Bad comedy for days that make you want to cringe at times. Sooner or later, you will believe you can cringe in a Hellboy movie. Isn't that great? Surely that's a sign of you're watching an A+ quality piece of popcorn movie. And not an 8 out of 10 popcorn movie, which I'm convinced that this is 8 out of 10. I love this movie all, but I admit it's pretty stupid and far from perfect. In terms of execution of his ideas, was everything involving the plot, I think. So that's my review on Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Why I give it is a 8 out of 10. And if what you think, in case you want to know why I give Hellboy the first installment, I give that a 0 out of 10. And in case you want to know what I think about that movie, that's as much I'm going to talk about that film from now in this video. And don't plan on making another video on that movie. And also, I just, and in the end, I end up really liking Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Now I want to talk about the things I like about this movie. I love all the performances, including Ron Perlman as Hellboy. He does a phenomenal job. And I'm glad the movie's focused on Hellboy and the people he reacts with, that is close friends. That movie didn't focus on the first time for the first installment well. In fact, I felt like it was that heavily glanced over those characters, Hellboy's friends, in the first movie. But in this movie, they have center stage, even though they have more of a comedic approach to all of them do, including Rob Perlman as Hellboy. But it's not a terrible approach, giving more screen time, more comedic dialogue. It's just an odd one. I always think that this, I don't know, maybe more screen time was because I don't know. I respect Hellboy do more heroic stuff in the first in this one than he did in the first one. But I feel like they kind of, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I just don't know. I can't. I feel like Hellboy doesn't do enough heroic stuff in this movie. It somehow does less heroic stuff than he did in the first one. Probably this because they made Hellboy more of a selfish character in the sequel, I thought. Because, remember how he kind of went through a character growth after his father passed away in the first one, kind of matured a little? And went through some character growth in the first one after that, and, but became a more brooding character. That's serious. I don't know why, but I just feel like for these versions of the characters that Ron Perlman and the rest of the cast portray for Hellboy to the Golden Army, I feel like there's too much comedic scenes and too much funny scenes for these characters. And these characters, you know how the Guardians of the Galaxy it works with the Guardians because you feel like they're goofballs and complete screw-ups? But together they'll make one badass team. Well, this is not the Guardians. Hellboy's not the Guardians of the Galaxy. Even though it thinks it can be. A good superhero, successful blockbuster. Even though it thinks it can be a good superhero comedy. That's great. It's not the best superhero comedy. It's just not. The comedy is actually one of the weaker elements about the film, I thought. The jokes in the movie of Hellboy to the Golden Army. I felt it's still better than the law of the humor that is now in comic book movies. It's still kind of shit, I thought, the jokes. That's why I liked it and hated about Hellboy to the Golden, why I give it 8 out of 10. Okay, hit the thumbs up if you like the video, and then hit the subscribe and hit the bell if you want to get subscribed. Hit bell also besides hitting the subscribe button. Second after hitting the subscribe. Goodbye.